Hello everyone, it's so nice to be back, and this video I'm going to be talking about some PvP stuff. Recently we had a very major PvP update. It wasn't just a balance patch, but they put in a lot of cool stuff for both PvP and World vs. World, on top of a bunch of really fantastic balance changes for the most part. I'll touch on that in just a moment. But I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the whole patch in review. Of course, I'm still playing. I haven't played all the professions in PvP, just from what I've experienced playing professions and then also playing against professions. I'm going to give my feedback. Granted, everyone has their own experience and, skill level, so this is very subjective, and what I might be saying might not have a lot of weight, or it might be sometimes applicable in some situations, but I digress! I'm talking too much. Maybe I like talking a lot. Anyway, I'm going to first talk about the balance overall. I'm not going to go into each change, because I already have another video on that. Quick plug, if you haven't seen that yet. You can go and watch my video on all the changes, and or you could just go to the Guild Wars 2 wiki and read it for yourself. You have options. Or go to another YouTuber. I'm going to basically just give my overall general impressions of the balance in-game, because, we now get to play it. And I'm also going to be talking about some areas I'd like to see changed, and some of the things I would like to see worked on with current balance, considering that they have stated that they are trying to be more proactive with balance, one would say, and get balance changes out more quickly. They might not necessarily be huge, but just more so for the integrity and balance of the game mode. So first off, I have like a little script. I have some bullet points. This is kind of a unique occasion, considering there was so much. So I believe that this update is quite effective in terms of slowing down combat. Relatively, well, I think it slowed it down pretty effectively. And they also did a great job at reducing the oppressive nature of CC skills, especially like Executioner Scythe, I mean, I only really have been playing a lot of Necro, so that's the one that comes to mind. But a lot of Warrior stun skills. Guardian had a couple CC skills. Even Weaver with their ultimate. These skills used to do a lot of damage in conjunction with locking you out of your character and interrupting any actions you were doing. So in this patch, they also wanted to they basically just made all these CC skills deal no damage. Of course, they'll do a little, like, seven ticks of damage, like a packet of 50 damage, something really, really small. And they've shifted the focus of CC skills to their crowd control effect and not the damage that they provide. It's kind of weird for some skills, considering, I'll just use Necromancer as an example because I've been using it a lot. Executioner Scythe, it used to deal so much more damage, and like it's an Executioner Scythe, and like the text on the skill is like deal a massive amount of damage at lower health, and also chill to the bone, and like gravity well, heavy damage at like the final ticks or whatever. So in terms of that, it's a little awkward just for the wording, but all in all, it doesn't really matter. It's for the integrity of the game mode. With this said, I still believe that there are areas of issue which still need to be looked at. Predominantly the amount of conditions some professions have. And I'm not necessarily talking about intensity of a certain condition. However, I am with one profession, which I'll touch base on in a moment. But taking, for example, like Necromancer or like Engineer or Mesmer, oftentimes these professions can stack up like 10 different conditions on you in a matter of a second. And with the way Condi clear skills are, they're not super effective because they've been nerfing them quite a lot. Condition clear skills used to be like remove 3 conditions, and then they've slowly started to nerf them to the point where it's like clear 2, and then most recently they've like chopped a lot of them down where they're like just transfer 1 condition or something along those lines. So the condition damage is certainly an aspect or the amount of conditions is certainly an aspect I want to see tweaked. I think a really great example of this condition, purity and condition, refinement is actually in the Revenant changes. They recently changed, or in the latest patch, they changed Malix to only really apply Torment. Granted, that Torment is a lot of Torment, but it's only one condition, and that is very effective with Condi Clear. And you would think, like, for Revenant, like, one would imagine Revenant wouldn't have this refinement, because Revenant isn't often really seen in PvP, other than playing Glint, which has a wide array of conditions, Glint and Shiro. And, yeah, you'd be like, why are they changing that? Why not Necromancer, someone with more oppressive conditions? And I would agree with that, but I actually played against a Malix, and it's still very strong. I think just having that one focus on one condition is actually really cool, and it can be very oppressive. But I also think the intensity should be looked at, because it's very oppressive. In conjunction with my topic on a oppressive condition, this kind of segues into my little portion where I talk about certain class changes, or like, things I'd like to see with classes. Touch base on Revenant. Keep in mind, follow my train of thought here, guys. The train of condition intensity. Guardian. I'm a Guardian main. I am someone who does not want to see Guardian nerfed to the ground. But I have to say, the amount of burning Guardian has, it's kind of ridiculous, and it truly makes me angry. I don't often get very angry when playing PvP, but I've played a couple games where the other team has a warrior or a necromancer and a firebrand or a core guardian. Firebrand or core guardian. It's incredible the amount of burning both of those specializations have. I'm calling them specializations because core guardian's kind of a specialization. But the fact that you get CC'd, you can get CC'd. And they thought about the power coefficients in this balance patch. They said, okay, we're refining the power, so when you get CC'd, you're not going to get destroyed. However, I don't think they realized the incredible power that condition damage will take now. Now it's no longer CCing them and getting a large hit off the CC, it's CCing them and seeing how much and how many conditions you can put on a certain character. So you're no longer having to deal with, the flat damage, but you really have to be careful of the condition damage. And I think it is mostly unfair, because I'll get CC'd and stunned and dazed and immobilized and chilled, and just continually stunned. I can't even Condi Clear, and I'll just be standing there for 2 seconds, and the 15 stacks of burning will melt my health. So, Guardian, y'all need to simmer down. You guys are a stove, and your heat is currently on 6. We need you to turn that dial down to a 1, or maybe a 2, maybe not a 1. But you guys are really hot. We need some water. So yeah, the condition damage is something that I've been very focused on, and feel that the condition damage also might need a slight refinement. And then I'll just continue with my thoughts on the other classes. Elementalist, I'd like to see some more attention to the Scepter, because I feel like the Scepter is just kind of uninspired currently, and just kind of not fun to play with. It's kind of weak too. But that's my thought on Elementalist. Necromancer, much like Guardian, I think sometimes their survivability in conjunction, sorry with the background noise, it's very hot, I have my window open, in conjunction with their survivability, with base life force, or with base Death Shroud, and also Scourge, super survivable and has an insane amount of conditions at their disposal. I think that also needs to kind of be reeled in. And one would think that Reaper is the extreme damage dealer, and it was balanced to have their life force pool deplete faster, and you'd be like, oh yeah, but they'd have great damage, and the base Death Shroud is more about tankiness, which it is, and it does a fantastic job at it, but the tankiness is a little too tanky in my opinion, and they deal quite a lot of damage just with their auto attack, and now their fear is a longer fear, but it has a cast time. But still, you're CC'd more long for a lengthier period of time, and you're vulnerable to take damage unless you have your one stun break, or if you're one of those players who just stacks 5 stun breaks on each of their utility skills, you're probably fine. But most of us are just like, what the hell are we doing? We're just sitting here taking damage. Like, what's happening? We know what's happening, but I don't want it to happen. So that's my thought on Necromancer. Ranger, I just feel like Druid in terms of support and like overall playstyle, it's really kind of lost its place in PvP. So that's my little comment on Ranger. Revenant, Glint, I think is Glint, and also Glint, Shiro, and the sword. Revenant is just so fast. Revenant is so fast and flighty and just really bursts you down, and also has a very strong defense most of the time. So that's my comment on Revenant. But the one that I did write down is the shortbow 4 skill. Still cannot be fired if your character isn't facing the direction, and it's still very, very annoying when playing in action camera mode. So if that's like the one like quality of life thing, Arena, it's been like what, a year and a half, 2 years since Path of Fire came out, and the shortbow 4 skill still has like weird requirements that just doesn't make any sense, because any other AoE skill with a circular AoE, you can cast it behind you and your character will turn around and cast it, but for some reason with the shortbow 4, it's like, no, you have to be facing in that direction. Your character's like, I have peripheral vision, I can't see past that. You're like, but I can see behind you. I can see behind you, it's okay. So that'd be my suggestion on Revenant. And then Warrior, my last one. I honestly, this is my one praise. I think they did a really good job with Warrior. I think in terms of its CC, very strong. But I'm not melting to them anymore, per se. Unless they go, you know, full DPS. Might tune down their self-survivability a little bit with their like self-healing. Just a touch. Granted, this is also in a 2v2 scenario. I should have probably said that at the beginning. Oh well. But yeah, in general, I think if I were to have a concluding statement, I think they adjusted power with the crowd control very well, but I think they might have forgot about CC. I don't know if they forgot. This is just pure, you know, speculation and conjecture. But it might have just been their focus to deal with the power and the spikiness instead of, you know, thinking about, you know, the condition side of it. So that's my thoughts on the overall balance. But now with the actual PvP game modes and the mini seasons, oh my god. You guys, mini seasons, I freaking love the 2v2s. I'm having such a blast, other than the times when I get very mad at, you know, Firebrands and Court Guardians. But I'm having a really fun time. Matches seem to be very drawn out, fair most of the time, and just overall really well paced. It's fun. We have a queue system for this mini season. And we have an armor reward. It's so much fun. If you guys aren't playing PvP, you guys need to get in PvP right now. Grab a friend, make a friend, find a stranger, which you probably will, because I find a lot of strangers, and have fun. Try new builds, try tanky builds, try builds with a little bit more CC. I think it's been very helpful to have CC, stun breaks, and also applying conditions, because that's what seems to win currently. In terms of power got so heavily nerfed that like you can't really spike people too much unless you're playing a Revenant, and so you might have a little bit harder of a time. That's also kind of what I'm feeling right now with the 2v2 seasons. I felt like people are playing very tanky. They're building a lot of health, toughness, and you can't really hit people with physical attacks, because then they'll just run away, they'll heal. Don't even get me started on my long-ass rant about Necromancers, because I will go off. But I'm really enjoying PvP right now. It's a lot of fun. I virtually have no complaints, other than that one bug that they fixed with the armor boxes. It's cool, it's great. But I did actually find a bug where I got like, I was DC'd from the 2v2, and I logged back in and I couldn't reconnect. So, but I didn't lose any rank or anything like that, so. And then finally, in terms of World vs. World, you guys know I'm not a huge World vs. Worlder. However, I have gone into World vs. World and played a little bit because of the new mount skin. And I think it's really great that they have a new mount skin. And honestly, I will spend that 200 gold because guess what? It's an in-game reward. Y'all want an in-game rewards? Cough up the gold, Barbara. But yeah, World vs. World, great. We're all still waiting on news for alliance systems. Oh my god, if they would have brought the alliance system with this, oh my, PvP would, World vs. World, so good. Or just, you know, give us a news update. I don't know. It's cool. That's all I really have to say about World vs. World. There were some Warclaw changes, new skins, new gem store skin for the Warclaw, and yeah, this is called the Glory Patch. Honestly, really great. I don't know if it's considered to be a part of the living world because, you know, they're like living world might, you know, look a little different. But I think that has to do with more about visions of the past, which I'll be talking about in my next video. So stay tuned for that episode of Visions of the Past, their new teaser that they have out. And thank you all for watching. Like the video if you liked it, comment below your thoughts on this Call to Glory patch, Balance patch, PvP 2v2s, and World vs. World and all. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.